Pfizer announced its COVID pill with HIV drugs cuts the risk of hospitalization or death by 89%. The stock is up nearly 7% at the moment. To discuss the monumental impact the drug could have if authorized is Dr. Hilary Fairbrother, emergency medicine physician. Doctor, thank you so much for your time. So Pfizer says it's sending this information that it has to the FDA to see what happens. It comes on the back of, in the UK, Merck announcing that it has this pill as well. So could this be portend the end of the pandemic as we know it? That's what many people are saying. What are some of the things that we need to be wary about?
Well, so first of all, it's very exciting to see pill form treatments coming onto the market in these emergency approval formulations. Both of these were trials that were so efficient and so effective that they were stopped early. Both the Merck and the Pfizer medications trials were stopped early because the results were just so excellent. So very exciting from a scientific background, very exciting to have a pill. It's obviously much easier to give patients pills than it is to give an IV administered medication. So I think nothing but excitement on our end. It is, I think we're more than a few steps away from saying this is the end of the pandemic, especially because it's a pandemic. It affects the world. And we know that access to healthcare is not something that is a given across this world, especially in some of our more developing nations and especially just across the globe in general.
Well, then I want to follow up on that and ask you, does it make it more likely that we'll be able to send more vaccines to underdeveloped nations that need it? And or does it just simply mean that we don't need as many vaccines? I'm looking at our Wi-Fi interactive heat map of the pharmaceutical space. There's a lot of red there. Moderna's down over 21%, BioNTech over 21%. Not asking you to comment on the stock movements unless you want to, but does the market have this right here?
Well, so I am not going to comment on any stocks. I definitely am not a finance girl, but I think what you're seeing is that we are reaching saturation points in some of our developed nations with the number of patients who are willing to get vaccines voluntarily. Certainly in the United States, we've had vaccines readily available for really anyone who wanted a vaccine, no matter where they were, no matter what their circumstances, for quite some time now. So for patients who continue to be unvaccinated, that certainly is a choice. Now, that is not the case across the globe. And I think, we have limited WHO and other global resources to distribute a vaccine to every human on the planet, particularly these complex ones that involve cold storage and that involve multi-regimen vaccines with now, we're up to essentially saying in the US, we're headed towards a 3/3 step and a booster, if not for everyone, for a good chunk of our population currently and looking forward, probably everyone in the future.
But Dr. Fairbrother, I want to ask you, how does this change the debate, if it does change the debate over the vaccine mandate? So now OSHA says large companies by January 4th, they must have people vaccinated or they need to undertake tests and masking, on their own, basically. But as you say, there are so many people that just don't want to get this vaccine no matter what. So isn't this a fair alternative? And then so many people also say, look, we've had COVID, so we have some natural immunity and we see breakthrough cases. So COVID vaccines aren't the answer. You can still contract the disease. At least with this pill, if we do get sick, then, it's a shorter illness. We don't hopefully impact others. What's your theory around that?
So I have a couple of theories around that. First of all, the natural immunity that patients get after having COVID is not a guarantee and is actually been shown to be pretty low. We're talking like 30%, which is not nothing. And certainly some patients have better immunity after natural infection, and some patients seem to have no immunity after natural infection. So at least with our vaccine, we are seeing really robust immunity after vaccination. And I think that was part of the confusion behind the booster is we have certainly seen breakthrough infections, but they are minor and they are not taking patients out of the workforce for a long amount of time. We are not seeing the same number of patients have long COVID symptoms, and we are certainly not seeing patients die or get hospitalized with this disease for the vast, vast, vast majority of people who are vaccinated. So I think vaccines are still the answer. And especially from a global perspective, I think vaccines are absolutely still the answer. The pills, it's going to be about cost. It's going to be about how are we getting these pills to patients. We need to remember that the data is very new on these pills. There is some rather considerable concern about women of childbearing years or women who are pregnant. In fact, the Merck pill is not recommended right now for women who are pregnant, and that is different than when we were trying to figure out whether the vaccine was safe. There was really no concern from an mRNA vaccine from the scientific background for that being safe, whereas there is a rather large concern from the Merck vaccine or Merck pill, molnupiravir, being unsafe for pregnant women. So we still have a pill that is not necessarily safe for everyone, and we need to get more information on these pills. It is very exciting. I am very much looking forward to having another weapon in the arsenal to fight COVID, but I don't think that this is going to be a miracle pill for everyone. And you have to take it pretty quickly after you get sick, within 3 to 5 days. And while it's great to have another tool, I really cannot imagine that this is superior to getting more people vaccinated across our country and across the globe.
Perfect. All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Hilary Fairbrother, for that insight, emergency medicine physician.